Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nena Nyama. In our major story tonight, Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja today dismissed all the reliefs sought by Senate President Bukola Saraki, challenging the legality of his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Also in this program, the People's Democratic Party commends its senators for towing the path of Ene by staging a walkout rather than confirming former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi as minister. And newly appointed Operations Controller Ilori Field Office of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Salvation Gazodo is read Riot Act to petroleum marketers in the states. Outside Nigeria, at least 61 people have been killed and over 100 others wounded after Syrian government airstrikes targeted a marketplace in Damascus suburb. Thank you so very much for joining me tonight. It is not yet Uhuru for the embattled president of the Nigerian Senate, as the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja today dismissed all the reliefs sought by Senate President Bukola Saraki, challenging the legality of his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. But in a 2-1 judgment delivered by Justice Moore Adumain, the court held that the CCT was properly constituted and has jurisdiction over the case filed by the Code of Conduct Bureau. In his appeal, Bukola Saraki challenged the powers of the tribunal to prosecute him on behalf of the federal government on an alleged false declaration of assets. Recently, the President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, has been embroiled with the allegation of false declaration of assets and operating a foreign bank account while serving as Executive Governor of Kwara State by the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal with a 13-count corruption charge hanging on his neck. His woes were further compounded when the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja ruled that he has a case to answer on the allegations preferred against him by the CCB. Our correspondent Netu Labare went to town to get the views of Nigerians on the looming legal crisis being faced by President of the Senate, Olubukola Saraki.
Dogged by the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal, Bukola Saraki had described his arraignment as politically motivated witch hunt and proceeded to the appellate court to challenge the jurisdiction of the CCB. But his spirit's fight to stop the wheel of justice has been denied by a 2-1 verdict of the panel justice. For some people, there should be transparency and due process followed in adjudicating the trial of the President of the Senate, while enjoining him to vacate his position to create an ambience of fairness.
Let the court do their work, impartially, let them fear God in what they do. Ordinarily, in other climes, people occupying such seats as Saraki is occupying would probably step down in elsewhere.
About Saraki's trial, what I just feel is that for the sake of efficiency, he should be asked to resign from that position. The reason is that the Senate is in charge of appropriation and budgeting process. If he gives too much money to Code of Conduct Tribunal, people might think that maybe he's trying to bribe them.
To some Nigerians, justice must be seen to be done no matter whose horse is God.
Nigerians would rather want to see a unity against corruption, a unity, that will not necessarily discriminate. All people who offend the law should go through the appropriate prosecution and be brought, before the law.
Saraki has been indicted. It has been an accused person. So far, he has entered dock. I think it's only the accused person that normally enter dock. And what we are looking at in Nigeria today is that somebody of his caliber giving a false information about his asset. That is exactly the way the Code of Conduct Bureau report it. And they have been setting a panel for him, which Code of Conduct Tribunal. So let's wait for the judgment.
But expected from the Saraki camp, the judgment is going to be appealed against at the Supreme Court. Nigerians await the outcome of the verdict of the highest court in the land when it does happen with great expectation.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, commended the senators for towing the path of NM by staging a walkout rather than confirming former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi as minister. It also accused the Buhari administration of paying lip service to anti-corruption charge. Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, says the country is heading towards a dictatorship under the ruling All Progressive Congress. It also accused the Buhari administration of double standard in its anti-corruption posture, citing the manner former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi was confirmed as minister designate. This was the outcome of a PDP National Caucus meeting, which ended in the early hours of today. Helen Chukwuwike has more in this report presented from our studios. Continue to trail the confirmation of ministerial list sent by President Muhammadu Buhari. However, the ratio of women to men on the ministerial list under his administration was brought to the front line. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ajayi, who took to the streets sampling women's opinion, brought this report.
The role of women in nation building cannot be overemphasized. It could be recalled that under the administration of the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, appointed 13 female ministers in the quest for more women representation in governance. Throughout the 8 years in office of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, appointed only 9 female ministers. Late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua had 7 female ministers in his cabinet. Is there a decline with the present list of female ministers? Nigerians react on the ratio of 6 women to 30 men on the ministerial list.
We have not been given the fair share that we're supposed to be giving. Women are the nation builders, apart from family builders. So I believe women can add positively to the development of this nation.
They don't carry our women along. They are carrying both their men along. Because if they carry 10, if they need the 10 people now, supposed to carry 6 women, 4 men. But this is our Nigeria now, they know they do like that. They just carry the men. If they need 20 people, they'll carry men, 15, women, 5. And that's what they do for this Nigeria. Our blood, they know they do like that.
Will the high ratio of men in the list bring better performance? These Nigerians are quite optimistic on the number of men, saying they will uphold the change mantra of the president.
Last time, majority of the ministers were women. So I think now men should at least be given a chance to do politics too.
So you're quite comfortable that we just have 6 out of 6?
Kind of.
At least, since they have started with 6, we hope that tomorrow we'll have equal of it.
As Nigerians anxiously wait for minister designate to be given portfolios, it is expected that they will perform beyond the expectations of Nigerians. Emmanuel Ajayi, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Away from that, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed sadness over the death of the immediate past senator representing Plateau North Senatorial District and People's Democratic Party governorship candidate in the April 11, 2015 election, Senator Yang Wajok. The president, while speaking in India, said Wajok's demise is a great loss to Plateau State and Nigeria, as he has contributed immensely to the enthronement of peace and development in the country. President Buhari prayed that God Almighty will comfort his family and all who mourn the deceased senator and grant his soul eternal rest. The newly appointed Operations Controller Ilorin Field Office of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Salvation Gazado, has read riot acts to petroleum marketers in Kwara State to desist from various illegal activities that could lead to economic loss in the country. While addressing the stakeholders at an interactive forum, the new DPR boss warned against illegal construction of filling stations, diversion of fuel, hoarding and overpricing of fuel, among other illegal practices. Our correspondent, Rashid, has more in the...
The Operations Controller Ilorin Field Office of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Salvation in Gazado, has advocated the need for strategic reasoning and cooperation for the survival of the oil industry in these hard times. While reading riot act to marketers, he frowned against indiscriminate construction of filling stations, diversion of fuel, hoarding and overpricing and buying of stolen products. The DPR boss also condemned product adulteration and discharging of products without proper documentation, warning that full wrath of the law will be visited on offenders.
What are they? Indiscriminate illegal construction, citing location of petrol outlets without appropriate approvals. We will stand shoulder to shoulder. We will mix federal might with state authority to ensure compliance. Government has the responsibility to create the enabling environment for enterprise to grow and flourish. That the era of products meant for Kwara State ending up in other states of the Federation, that era has ended.
Addressing journalists, the state chairman of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, Okonlawon Olanrewaju, also decried the construction of illegal filling stations and called for joint sanctions to correct the situation.
It was true there are some filling stations that were built without approval. And we don't know, it does not mean I don't know what is happening to those people, you know. Before you become a member of IPMA, you have to complete your station and apply to be a member. Most of them are not our members. They are not our members. But it's strange that most of them supposed to apply, are supposed to go through normal process. Because most of the stations are standard. They are qualified to be a member, they are qualified to obtain license. But I can't just say the reason why they were doing it illegally.
As the DPR gets set to correct the anomaly in the oil industry, it is expected that both the DPR and marketers will join hands together for the benefit of the people. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
We'll take a break now, return with more stories. Just stay with us.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria, and the mantra is change. The wind of change is blowing all over Nigeria and beckons to you. One sure way to respond is to perform your civic duty, pay your tax. With taxes, government generates revenue to fulfill its electoral promises, ensure regular power supply, provide good security, standard education, medical care, true total change. Individuals and corporations enjoy specific benefits, rights and privileges for paying taxes and avoid the consequences and penalties of not paying. Oil revenue is no longer sufficient to bring desired change, but your tax can. It pays to pay your tax. A message from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water and new TT
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to her husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Also, some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man. You don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Glad to have you back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. A quick reminder of our top stories. Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja today dismissed all the relief sought by Senate President Bukola Saraki, challenging the legality of his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Also, the People's Democratic Party commends its senators for towing the path of Ene by staging a walkout rather than confirming former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi as minister. And the newly appointed Operations Controller Ilorin Field Office of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Salvation Ngazoldo, has read riot acts of petroleum marketers in the states. For more of our news stories, join us on our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Liverspace News. Osun State government and lecturers in the 4 state-owned polytechnic and colleges of education have finally agreed to sheath the sword. This agreement brings to an end industrial action embarked by the Council of Academic Staff Unions of the Osun State-owned tertiary institutions, which led to the closure of all institutions for over 7 months. Signing the agreement at the governor's office in Oshogbo, the Osun State capital, Secretary of the Union, Olusegun Lana, says the suspension of the strike follows government decision to accede to their demands. On his part, the Chief of Staff, Boyega Oyetola, who represented Governor Rauf Aregbesola, appealed to the lecturers to build the required trust in the government to foster peace. The Federal Capital Territory authorities have met Fulani herdsmen in the aftermath of a recent attack in Yakasa that left 7 people dead. FCT Permanent Secretary John Chukwu led the team to an emergency meeting with some leaders of the victims of the suspected armed robbery attack. This is with a view to averting a reprisal attack in neighboring communities. The Permanent Secretary, who held the meeting in his office, emphasized the need for law and order, assuring that the perpetrators would be apprehended, and asked them not to take the laws into their hands. It may be recalled that unknown hoodlums attacked a Fulani settlement in Keti, Yakasa, a suburb of Abuja on Tuesday night, killing 7 persons and injuring 5 others. At the inception of the current administration of Governor Simon Lalong, the political communal clashes, which has lasted over a decade, soared. This led the government into setting up a 14-man peace and reconciliatory committee with the mandate of finding the remote and immediate causes of the crisis with a view of finding a lasting solution to it. The committee has submitted its report, which was received by the Secretary to the state government. The details.
The Peace Committee, which was inaugurated on the 5th of August 2015 to find a lasting solution to the crisis in some communities in Just South, Riyam and Bakin-Ladi LGAs, submitted its report and was received by the Secretary to the state government. The committee, which was made up of 14 members, 7 each from the Beram and Fulani extraction, had its chairman and secretary provided by the state government.
I want to assure you that His Excellency, in almost all the reports that have been submitted, has made sure that they are implemented, and this one is not going to be an exception, because this one is what will give us the license to bring back our economy. This one will give us the license to make sure that the people of Plateau are respected everywhere we go. This one will give us the license to bring back investors to Plateau State. And this one will give us the license to maintain that name that we call ourselves the home of peace and tourism.
The committee chairman stated that the recommendations made in the report can be relied upon for a lasting solution to the perennial crisis because all the warring parties were allowed to make input during the sittings of the committee.
Suffice it to say that the recommendations reached in this report were as a result of general consensus by the two groups. Under the watchful eyes of our technical advisors, the humanitarian dialogue, whose initial work also helped the committee.
The people of the warring communities have been warned that they stand the risk of being left behind in the scheme of things if they don't seek and pursue peace vigorously, because peace is the panacea to development.
Following the unending activities of the Boko Haram sect, Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Martin Abechi, warned officers and men of the service against issuing passports to terrorists, kidnappers, and other criminals. Abechi advised the officials to screen passport applicants thoroughly, stressing that the penalty for indiscriminate issuance of passports is stiff, and he vowed that any indicted officer would not be spared. He gave the warning at a meeting with top officials, including border control and passport officials at the NIS headquarters. The immigration boss also directed his men to remove roadblocks at border areas, noting that they could screen foreigners coming to the country without blocking the road with locked and disused tires. We'll take another break now, return with more stories in business, foreign and sports.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, treasure looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody have the right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back in business. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange, JSE, has launched an investigation into mobile giant MTN for possible insider trading before the South African company announced it had been hit by a $5.2 billion fine in Nigeria. Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, fined Africa's largest telecoms firm for missing a deadline to deactivate 5.1 million unregistered SIM cards. News of the fine broke on Monday morning in Nigeria, sparking a sell-off of MTN shares before the company formally notified shareholders later in the day. South African law dictates the companies immediately warned shareholders about price-sensitive information. MTN issued a statement saying senior management of the company and its advisors are currently engaging with the JSE Limited on the timing of the announcement. The probe could result in South Africa's best operator slapping MTN with another hefty fine and result in criminal charges. And now to the foreign scene, at least 45 people have been killed and another 140 persons injured after Syrian government airstrike targeted a market in the Damascus suburb. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said government's warplanes bombed a busy market today in Douma, a Damascus suburb that has been under government attack for weeks now. A local activist who confirmed this said Douma has been under heavy attack since Friday morning. Major backers of Syria's warring rivals will seek to narrow divisions over the future of the country and its embattled president, Bashar al-Assad. The U.S., Russia, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Iran will meet in Vienna with the aim of achieving a political settlement to help end the Syrian war, representatives from Britain. Chaos erupted today in the Slovenian border town as thousands of people pushed through metal barriers and a police cordon to force their way into Austria. Several people, many holding children in their arms, were seen collapsing amid the melee on Friday afternoon near the Slovenian refugee camp in St. Tigil on the border with Austria. Reports revealed that an estimated 3,000 people managed to cross the border into Austria, while around 4,500 more are waiting to cross in the Slovenia side. These refugees expected to stay in the area throughout the night until authorities in Slovenia and Austria reopen the border. At least 28 migrants, mostly children, have drowned while trying to reach Kalymnos and Rhodes from Turkey. Greek officials said 19 people died and 138 persons were rescued near Kalymnos in the second major boat tragedy of Greek islands this week. Meanwhile, rescuers in southern Spain are searching for 35 migrants missing after the boat broke up en route from Morocco. It will be recalled that thousands, usually packed on unseaworthy boats, have been arriving on Lesbos every day after making the dangerous journey from Turkey. And now to sports.
Power style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball, storming, Puyol with a flying lead.
Go, taking them out in the lead and really.
The People's Elephant will be visiting Umuahia with the intention of breaking the jinx of never defeating their Oriental brothers in the Premier League since the capital club made it to the elite class 2 seasons ago in the previous 3 meetings. Abia Warriors have an edge with a win and 2 draws. But Enyimba, on its current 65 points, led their neighbors by 15 points. Meanwhile, the Abia Warriors chairman, Emeka Nyama, has called on the Enyimba and Abia Warriors officials, players and supporters to maintain high sense of decorum before, during and after the game on Sunday. And finally, Toro Roso's Max Verstappen set the pace in first practice at the Mexican Grand Prix as new world champion Lewis Hamilton was 11th. Verstappen, an 18-year-old rookie, was 0.305 seconds quicker than Red Bull's Daniel Kvyat as F1 returned to Mexico City for the first time since 1992. The new surface at the remodeled Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez caused problems with a lack of grip as many drivers ran wide and some spun as they learned their circuits. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News, but before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. We told you that the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja today dismissed all the relief sought by Senate President Bukola Saraki, challenging the legality of his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Also in this program, the People's Democratic Party commends the senators for towing the path of Ene by staging a walkout rather than confirming former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi as minister. And finally, newly appointed Operations Controller Ilorin Field Office of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Salvation Gazodo, has read Riot Act to petroleum marketers in the States. Thank you so very much for staying with me tonight. I am Nena Nyama. Do have a lovely night rest.